When I was around 11 or 12, my family and I went on a trip that I still think about to this day. This happened sometime around 2001 or 2002. My uncle was looking to buy a piece of land out in a really remote area near Red Oak, Oklahoma. My parents and I decided to go with him one weekend just to check it out. It was about a 3-hour drive from our house. Nothing special, just one of those quiet road trips to get out for the day. But when we finally got there, I remember feeling kind of disappointed. There was nothing around. No houses, no people, barely even any wildlife. Just empty land and woods that didn't feel welcoming at all. We parked off the side of the road and decided to walk in and explore a bit. My uncle was talking about using the land for hunting, but I wasn't really interested in that. Still, we all went in together. At first, everything seemed normal, but after a while, something started to feel off. It was a nice day, no bad weather, nothing obvious to be worried about. But all of us felt it, even my parents. My mom kept looking over her shoulder, saying she felt like someone was watching us. She had goosebumps and kept insisting that something wasn't right. My dad and uncle kind of laughed it off, but you could tell. Even they were a little uneasy. After walking for a while, I noticed something through the trees. There was a small red building, not very big. Honestly, I've seen storage sheds bigger than it. But it stood out immediately, especially because there was nothing else around for miles. My uncle said it wasn't mentioned anywhere in the listing. The door was already open. We walked up to it slowly and looked inside. And what we saw instantly changed the mood. There were opened cans of food scattered around, a dirty worn blanket on the ground, and a smell I can't even properly describe. It was strong, rotten, and overwhelming. It was clear someone had been living there. That's when we all agreed we needed to leave. If someone was out there, living in the woods like that, we didn't want to be around when they came back, so we turned around and started heading back toward the road. But after a while, we realized something. We had no idea where we were going. We had walked deeper into the woods than we thought, and now everything looked the same. Trees in every direction. No clear path. That uneasy feeling came back. But this time it was worse. No one was talking much anymore. We were just trying to get out. After what felt like a long time, we finally reached a road. But it wasn't where we had parked. We were further down than we expected. Still, it didn't matter. We just started walking along the road, hoping to get back to the car. And then we saw something I will never forget. In the middle of the road, there was a cat, a dark gray cat, and it was on fire. There was no one around, no cars, no houses, nothing. It looked like it had just happened. The second we saw it, we all panicked. We didn't say anything. We just ran. We ran the rest of the way back to the car as fast as we could. When we got there, my dad noticed something immediately. There was a long scratch running down the entire side of the car, from the front all the way to the back, deep enough to see clearly. None of us had noticed it before. At that point, we didn't care what caused it. My dad just unlocked the car. We all got in, and we left as fast as possible. My uncle never bought that land. And for years, this just became one of those strange stories we'd bring up every now and then. But recently, I was reminded of it while watching a video about a case known as the Jamison family disappearance. It happened in the same area, years after our trip. There are a lot of theories about what happened to them. Some people even talk about strange activity in those woods, things involving animals, and people living off-grid. I don't know what we experienced that day. Maybe it was just someone living out there who didn't want anyone on their land. Or maybe it was something else, but whatever it was, I still remember the feeling of being watched, and I've never gone back. This happened when I was around 13 years old, back in 2004 or 2005. My dad took me on a hunting trip out in a rural area outside Uvalde, Texas. It was the kind of place where there's not much around for miles, just land, fences, and silence. A friend of his owned a large piece of property out there, and he'd been having problems with wild hogs tearing it up. So my dad decided to take me down there for a week, partly to help out and partly just to spend time together. The drive from Dallas was long, about 7 hours. I remember being cramped in his Jeep the whole time, just staring out the window or messing around on my Game Boy trying to pass the time. By the time we got there, it was already early evening. We unlocked the gate and drove down to the cabin on the property. And right away, something felt off. The place looked like it hadn't been touched in a while. There was dust everywhere, flies buzzing around, and it looked like animals had gotten inside at some point. We cleaned up just enough to sleep, set up our cots, and tried to settle in for the night. But I couldn't sleep. I don't know why, but I had this strong feeling that we weren't alone, like someone was watching us. I eventually drifted off for maybe an hour, but when we woke up the next morning, I still felt uneasy. It was early, around 7 a.m., and we decided to go out and look for signs of hogs before it got too hot. After walking for a while, we found an area where the ground had been torn up, so we followed the tracks into a patch of trees. That's when my dad suddenly stopped me. I looked up and saw someone standing about 50 yards away, partially hidden by the trees. This was private land, and we knew no one else was supposed to be there. The gate had been locked when we arrived, and the owner told us we'd be alone. The person was wearing a bright red jacket. We started walking toward them slowly. My dad called out, saying we were hunters and that this was private land. The person didn't move, not even a little. We got closer, maybe about 30 yards away, and could see they were facing away from us with their hands in their pockets. That's when it got even stranger. They were wearing what looked like a ski jacket and ski pants. In the middle of a Texas summer. By that point, it was already close to 100 degrees out. My dad called out again, louder this time, but there was still no response. He told me to stay behind him and unsnapped the clip on his pistol holster. We moved closer. He told me to stop about 20 yards away while he went up to the person, talking to them the whole time, asking if they were okay. Then he stepped around in front of them, and he just stopped. I remember him going completely still for a second, then standing up straight with this confused look on his face. I called out, asking what was wrong, and he said, "It's a mannequin." I walked over slowly, and as I got closer, something stood out immediately. The clothes it was wearing were completely clean. No dirt, no dust, no signs of wear at all. It looked like it had just been placed there. That's when I looked at my dad, and I could tell something had changed. He wasn't confused anymore. He looked worried. Almost instantly, that same feeling hit me again, like we were being watched. This time it was stronger. I remember feeling like I was about to panic. That's when my dad quietly said, "We're leaving right now." He grabbed my hand, drew his pistol, and started walking us back the way we came, constantly scanning the trees around us. I was trying not to panic, but I was terrified. We moved as fast as we could, and eventually made it back to the cabin. We didn't waste any time. We packed everything up and left immediately. On the drive out, my dad called his friend who owned the property and told him what happened. His friend was confused and said he'd check it out the next time he was in the area. We drove all the way home that same day. We didn't talk much on the way back. Later on, my dad told me he hadn't been able to sleep that night either. He had the same feeling but didn't want to wake me up because he thought I was asleep. About a week later, his friend went out to the property to check. He said he walked the entire area, and there was nothing there. No mannequin, no signs of anyone. A buddy and I went hunting over a long weekend a few years ago. We hiked into our hunting area and stayed in a tent. This was deep in the Norwegian wilderness, middle of nowhere. We had exclusive hunting rights to the area, so we didn't expect anyone else to be there. There was no cell service within about 5 to 6 kilometers and roughly 10 kilometers back to our cars. We set up camp next to a small lake and didn't see a single person for the first couple of days. On our last night, we were sitting by the campfire pretty late, eating dinner. Everything beyond the firelight was completely pitch black. Then we heard a gunshot. It came from the other side of the lake, sounded like a rifle. We both paused for a second. It was strange. There shouldn't have been anyone else out there, but we figured maybe someone was further away than it sounded and just messing around. So we went back to eating. About 5 to 10 minutes later, there was another shot. This one sounded much closer. A split second later, we heard the impact, rocks right next to us, maybe 5 meters away. We both froze, just looked at each other. Then we ran. We sprinted to the tent, grabbed our shotguns, and took off into the woods. We didn't stop for a while, just ran until we felt like we had some distance. Then we dropped down and stayed low. A few minutes later, we heard another shot. This time we were pretty sure it hit our tent. We had no idea what to do, no signal, no way to call for help. And it was completely dark. Trying to hike out with flashlights felt like asking to get shot. So we stayed hidden. We found a downed tree with a sort of hollow under the roots and squeezed in there, just waiting. We didn't talk much, just listened. Every sound felt amplified. We stayed there until morning. As soon as it got light, we moved, packed up as fast as we could, and basically ran back to the cars. Once we got signal, we called the police. They took it seriously, but nothing ever came from it. When we went back later, there was a clear bullet hole through the tent, right where we had been sitting earlier that night. We still have no idea who it was or why they were out there. There was no reason for anyone to be in that area with a gun. I've never been that scared in my life. And it took a long time before we went back out there again.